Hi guys, welcome back to another DLH.io integration video. We're super excited to show you this integration with NetSuite and how you can actually conduct SuiteQL queries inside of DataLakehouse.io, but even more, how you can actually take your NetSuite data and send it to FTP or SFTP. Let's take a look at what we're talking about. So we're inside right now DataLakehouse.io and we're looking at our NetSuite connectors. We've talked about these before in other videos. What we want to pay attention to is our NetSuite Web Services connector. So we have Suite Analytics and we also have NetSuite for Web Services. Now these are two different connectors and they do things slightly differently for NetSuite customers. What I want to do is flip over into NetSuite itself and take a look at the SuiteQL query editor that's been available for some time now from one of the most recognizable names in NetSuite development, Tim Dietrich. So let's take a look at that quickly. When we navigate over here, we can see that we have the SuiteQL query tool. Now, this is a query tool that's provided by one of the best NetSuite developers that's out there, Tim Dietrich, and it's an amazing tool. We covered some of this in one of our last videos, but let's take a look just at what it can do again, right? So writing standard SuiteQL, and Tim and the team have provided a great remote library capability, so you can select here, you can pick some pre-built SQL statements or SuiteQL statements that have already been written for you. I'm just going to pull out one that we like, and that's what we're going to do our testing on. So I've gone ahead and selected one of my favorite SuiteQL queries for NetSuite. So it's a standard one, just looking at order status summaries. Very basic, but very telling of information in the system. Tim's provided this. He has a blog post out there for it. And if we run this SuiteQL statement, we can see we get some very basic information coming back to us. So just very high level, a couple of rows to kind of look at different statuses and such. Now I'm going to go over to DataLakehouse.io, DLH.io, where we're already doing a lot of the synchronization processes for our NetSuite data. So we're doing our integration, our replication, our deltas for NetSuite, and it's an amazing process. We can do that for Suite Analytics. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate over to a feature in DLH.io, which we call our SQL Playground. Now this is going to be step one in the data integration concept for the SuiteQL logic that I'm talking about right now. So we're just going to navigate over to SQL Playground. And once I'm in here, I already have my NetSuite Web Services source connector. So I'm just going to select that source from the drop down here. And now I can paste in my SuiteQL code. Paste that in, very similar to what we were seeing just a few minutes ago over inside of NetSuite itself. Now I can simply run this query by clicking run. Now this is going to validate that I'm getting the same data back super quickly, 2.9 seconds, very fast inside of the system. Now this is fantastic. What this does is it proves that DLH.io is capable of interacting with our NetSuite instance immediately. So many amazing things we can do with this. One of the amazing things we're going to do is the next step here. So oftentimes there's protocol, there's EDI, there's a need to get your NetSuite data into either a different format or as part of our EDI process or something downstream, interchanging with our supply chain or other vendors, our NetSuite data. So we're just going to simply show you an integration with SFTP, which is a pretty standard protocol for a lot of vendors, a lot of customers, a lot of export capability to get your NetSuite data into a different location. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to go to our connections and then look at our targets. So again, I've already run a SuiteQL statement that I know now is validated. I validated it inside of NetSuite itself using the SuiteQL query tool. I validated it inside of DLH.io, which is amazing. Excited about that, and I know that works. So now what I want to be able to do is to create this query to be sent into an SFTP on a continuous workflow basis. So maybe I want to send it only once every 24 hours. Maybe I want to send it when something's triggered. Maybe I want to send it just every hour as it's updated. And so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to simply show how we can create a basic SFTP target. So So now I'm in the SFTP target connector. Let me go ahead and fill in the information for our SFTP target so that we can create that new target right now. Once your connection's been validated and you have a successful connection, you can now go and close this connection. Now there's one more step to create this integration between our NetSuite SuiteQL logic and the SFTP. So we have another source connector that we refer to as our SQL data query tool connector. And so this allows us to basically take that query, take our NetSuite web service connector, and make sure that they're related. And then we can connect that connector to our SFTP target in a sync bridge. And then Bob's your uncle, you have an amazing process that connects your NetSuite data over to your target. So let's go ahead and click on the Data SQL Query connector. And you can see here that we can give this a name such as NetSuite SQL Sales Summary. And we can just give it a basic prefix of where it might land. So we're just going to call this NetSuite Query. And now I get to pick our connector for NetSuite. Oh, apologies, we only have that right there, NetSuite Query. And now I can select our NetSuite Web Services parent connector. So this is the one that we used in the SQL Playground to test our logic. And now I want to give it a file name. So what's really great about this, and there's a lot of documentation on this, we can actually use templating options here in the file name to make sure that we can timestamp the file name and things like that. But ultimately this is going to wind up to be a CSV format in our SFTP target. So we just want to give it a simple file name that connotates what actual data is going to be in this file name. So for example, this might be like NetSuite sales data, and then maybe we give it a little something like a summary to EDI vendor. So let's just say EDI. Okay, and it's automatically going to add the CSV extension when it lands in the SFTP location. And now we can go ahead and place in the query that we ran earlier. Now we'll go ahead and click on Save and Test here for this connector, and everything should work out just fine because we already have a valid connection to our NetSuite web service connector. And now we can navigate over to our sync bridge. Now the sync bridge is going to give us the ability to connect our SQL data query connector with our SFTP. So the SQL data query connector has our NetSuite logic in it, and our SFTP is now our target. So let's go ahead and create that sync bridge. Give it a name, NetSuite sync bridge. We'll go ahead and select the one connector that we're looking to integrate, which is our sales summary query. We'll do that with our SFTP target, and then we'll go ahead and establish a good time frame from which this can be synchronized. So we'll go ahead and pick our time zone. We're on the East Coast. We'll just say it needs to go every 24 hours. Hey, how about we send it every couple hours? Maybe the data changes very frequently. So it's going to move every 2 hours. Let's go ahead and save that sync bridge by clicking the Save Sync Bridge button. Once the sync bridge is saved, we know now that the connection's been established to our NetSuite account. We know our SuiteQL query works and returns valid data. Now the only thing left to do here is to wait until the frequency of the job kicks off every 2 hours, or if we would like, we can go ahead and run the sync bridge right now. We'll get prompted, of course, to just confirm we want to run that. We click OK, and then once we do that, within a matter of seconds, our data is now going to be at our target endpoint in our SFTP. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and are able to give the NetSuite integration a try to one of your targets. It's an amazing integration, and we're so thankful for Tim Dietrich for creating such a great tool and providing some amazing SuiteQL queries out of the box for us to use in enterprise production capability for our own NetSuite and for NetSuite customers everywhere. So thank you guys. Again, give DLH.io a try. Check out our datalakehouse.io community on Slack, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Thanks, and stay data driven.